Hi, everyone. Welcome to the YMyHealth podcast. My name is Julie, and I am your co host for today. And for this episode, we are joined by Amy Hart. She is a colon cancer survivor, mom of two, and an advocate who now lives with an ostomy bag. And she is here to share her story about resilience, body image, identity, and using her voice to break the stigma and empower others. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Julie, so much for having me. I'm truly honored. And it's just part of my love language to spread ostomy awareness and just understanding around having an ostomy, colon cancer, colorectal cancer, and being a young person dealing with these insane health challenges as well as
Yeah,
our regular lives.
yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can start with just having you tell a little bit about your story leading
Sure.
up to getting the ostomy.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm a mama too. My youngest was 18 months old when I started having symptoms of colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer and uterine cancer run in my family. So I was very advantageous about getting my screening. I was kind of looking for answers. I was seeking answers before I understood that my symptoms were related to colon cancer. And then as my acute symptoms started to set in, I was really pressuring my doctors to get me a colonoscopy. And when I finally got one, it took some doing, but when I finally got one, they found that I had stage 3 colorectal cancer. So I kind of credit my, take no, don't take no for an answer and, to continue to press on and be a little bit of you know, um, a B word, for lack of a better term, and getting my answers to saving my life. But after I went through my initial treatment, um, I had radiation and chemotherapy. They let me know, kind of during that staging process and early treatment that I'd likely have an ostomy. So I started to wrap my head around this idea that come March of 2020, I'd have a surgery and live with an ostomy for the rest of my life. And that's when I went on social media to try to seek kind of other people who looked like me, who had an ostomy, who were living with an ostomy, and I found them. Um, and finding those people changed my whole mindset about the possibilities that were in front of me. It changed the idea that only old people who are in hospital beds and don't do anything have ostomies. It just opened my eyes to a whole new world. So it led me into um, just understanding the power of sharing your story. I know that's not for everyone, but that's kind of what brought me into the ostomy community. My life before I had cancer, I was a working mom of two, very busy, didn't have time for this kind of stuff. So I always speak to women who are feeling something in their bodies. Listen to that because that saved my life.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had I I can't even imagine the number now of people who have
Yeah,
come to us and tell us about how, important it is to advocate for yourself. You know yourself best, and when you feel like something is wrong, yeah, be rude. Do what you have to do to get
absolutely.
it done and don't take no for an answer. So I think just another perfect example of, going out and doing that. Um, I'm very curious what some of those adjustments were between, life before and after and
Yeah.
what day to day looks like now.
I mean, it's a massive adjustment. Anyone who has an ostomy or even has gone through an abdominal surgery of any kind can speak to that. Recovery from surgery is it's a bear. And anytime somebody comes to speak to me about it, I'm honest with them. I don't say this is, you're going to sail right through this, but there are things you can do to adjust to it. I think part of it is just getting up each day and knowing that it's a scary today. It's going to get a little better tomorrow or a little better the next day. I remember changing my ostomy bag for the first time and my hands were literally shaking. I had to lay on my back. It was, I think about it now as I'm standing there. I jokingly refer to myself as the animal house of having an ostomy. I have stuff in my mouth and I'm like, holding things while I'm ripping my bag off and I'm throwing trash bags into my trash can because it becomes so much part of your everyday life. But I think just getting up and doing it and facing it, a lot of mirror work, looking at it, knowing that you're okay. Um, Radical acceptance, and then just physically moving your body. That really helped me adjust for me, it was kind of dancing in front of my camera and taking silly little videos, and that got me feeling like myself again. But for some people, it's walking so they can run again, or swimming, or whatever it is that once you're clear of activity. But those little adjustments and just getting up every day and doing them, suddenly it becomes your normal.
Yeah. Has there been any effect on, aspects of your life like work or travel or social activities?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not that it makes it impossible. It just is something I have to think about. And if I'm prepared, it's really no big deal. I think the situations that I find myself in are self-inflicted a lot of times, where I didn't have my supplies with me or I didn't plan ahead. But what I do for travel, the big difference with travel is when you go through the body scanner will pick up your ostomy bag 9 times out of 10. Sometimes it doesn't, but most times it does. So I let the TSA agent know right as I'm going in, hey, I have an ostomy. I keep it really low key. They know exactly what that is. They're well trained to know what that is, and they're going to walk you through the next few steps. Every airport's a little bit different, but usually that involves a slight pat down and, checking your hands with a bomb swab just to make sure you don't have any bomb materials. That's just for safety, and they're doing their job. So that's a big change in that kind of travel. Um, I did take some time off of work. My treatment was during COVID, so I was kind of forced into that anyways. But now I work a regular job where I'm a traveling salesperson and I work in an office half of the day at a desk. Again, I'm prepared for my day and I have my supplies with me. And if something comes up, I navigate that as needed. But it's really, I was worried about going back to work, and it's really just become, again, part of my regular everyday life. And
Yeah.
then, like momming, I thought, oh, I'd be bedbound and I won't be able to do anything. I'm up in the climbing tubes at the air park with Delilah. So Delilah's 8, Simone's 12. There's not a minute of not doing the mom thing around here. So I I'm back to, I would say, I never want to give somebody the idea that you're going to be the person you were before, but I'm an I'm a new version of myself. I do all of the things that I want to do. But I do have to prepare for my day.
Sure. Are there any misconceptions about ostomies that you wish people better understood?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a big reason I share on my platform is because I had those misconceptions when I first was diagnosed. I didn't picture a mom of two who might be jumping into the pool as somebody with an ostomy. So I think just showing up and showing people that everyday people have ostomy. You could be standing next to somebody who has an ostomy and you'd never know it. Most people wouldn't know I have one unless if I would just close my big mouth, maybe they wouldn't know. But, I just, again, want people to see there are people in your everyday life who have this. They're very normal. Your life is worth living. Don't give up. If this is where your path has led, I know nobody dreams as a little kid of like, hey, I want to have an ostomy. But if this is where your path has led, there's hope and there's
Yeah.
normalcy. Like there's annoying regular life
Yeah.
beyond, this major surgery. So the misconception of also, you're not going to be an inspiration to everyone every day. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to have leaks. And anyone you see sharing their life online has leaks, has moments of why me, has times where they struggle with what they're going through. And truly, that's why I like to show kind of those. It's a little bit of an up and down. It's not always pretty and shiny and, well posed, but that is the reality. Not just life with an ostomy, like life. It's not always going to be, picturesque.
Yeah. You're perfect segue because you're already kind of heading into this direction of how this has impacted your identity and your relationship with your body. I know that some of the commentary you see online is about, the insecurities that do sometimes come for people who have an ostomy bag,
Sure.
or just, it is a physical difference after surgery that you now live with. And like, what does that mean for who you feel like you are as a person?
Yeah.
And so love to hear a little bit more about that.
I think to say that you could go through a surgery of any kind, let alone an ostomy surgery, and not have your body image impacted would be just that's that's myth. There's no way that could be true. Not even the strongest, most confident and secure positive person could go through that without having to traverse the downside of your body being forever scarred, quite literally, and having to carry a reminder, a physical reminder of some of the worst pain you went through, whether it was cancer or otherwise. Um, it took me kind of going to those depths of feeling really low about it to get to the other side. I think that's the best thing I can tell people is like dark night of the soul. You got to ride through that and get to the other side. Because if you don't feel those feelings, I think those are the people who struggle really long term, where they suppress, suppress, suppress. And I understand because I certainly did, and I know why that's preferable in a lot of times. And sometimes we just have to survive. But when you do start to feel those feelings and understand and accept that any human would feel this way, especially after having an ostomy surgery. When you let yourself feel them, all of a sudden it feels lighter. It feels easier. It feels less like you're shaming and judging yourself for having those feelings in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, to be completely candid, it's a lifelong process of acceptance with this, and where I was at, in the first 2 years of I need to accept this initially, I'm in a different place of acceptance now. And how it's impacted my body image in the first 2 years was I felt like I went through that really low time. And then I saw myself in this whole new light where I reflected on how I was towards myself. Um, just so hard on myself when I didn't need to be. And now that's kind of part of what I share too for women and men, anybody, gender aside, is that don't let, you know, y- don't let it take something so drastic in your life before you start being kinder to yourself, because you're just in a vessel. You didn't pick it. None of us do. And if any of us did, I'm sure we'd trade with each other very quickly. But that, you're more than your body. And that changed my relationship to how I treated myself, how I saw myself, how I carried myself in the world, how I interacted with other people. So it's changed my life in like an incredibly positive way. Um, but at the same time, that's an ongoing process for me because it's like, do I need to be an advocate for this for the rest of my life because I feel so strongly about it? So I have new things that I'm grappling with on my body acceptance journey, but I think it's been I I wouldn't suggest anyone get an ostomy to feel confident about themselves, but that's where my journey has led me to feeling more confident about myself because I'm more detached from the idea that I am my body or my body is me.
Yeah, that's fair. You talked a little bit earlier about, when this happened, going online, looking for others who are in a similar situation. Do you think that ostomates ostomates are well represented in media or
Yeah.
health conversations?
I think it's getting better. I think I see more representation every day. And I know I'm kind of flooded with that content because I'm in those spaces. I would love to see it on a broader level. I'd love to see more positive representations of ostomates in media, in entertainment. A lot of times when somebody references an ostomy on a TV show or a movie, it's in reference to it being a devastating, moment in someone's life, which I can understand the concept of it being partially devastating, but I'd love to see that rounded out with the other side of the story so that we can see that positive kind of aspect represented more models in our advertisements, more conversations, more spaces for us. I'm always pushing that. I think even in our healthcare community, in our cancer community, we are still at we need more. We need more for ostomates. We need those safe spaces, because we aren't just old and we aren't just young. We're everywhere in between. Um, there's kids who deal with this, so people creating content and providing good visual representation of ostomates is powerful for children who are growing up with an ostomy bag, whether it's temporary or permanent. So more. I want more.
Yeah.
I think we're trending in the right way, like, let's keep it going, and also just that seeing that is so powerful. I feel like it saved my life. So, I don't know that I'm insatiable about that. I'll never be satisfied. We'll always want a few more ostomates in the project.
Yeah. And you mentioned finding people online. Where have you connected with other people who are, on this kind of same journey, whether that's online or in person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I originally was kind of Googling things because that at the time when I got diagnosed in 2019, Google was still the prevailing search engine. But I mean, pick your platform. If you're most comfortable on Facebook, there are Facebook groups. And some of these are a generational age thing, but Instagram, there are tons of people on Instagram. Pick somebody who kind of speaks to you, follow them quietly, send them a message, read their content. um, there's people on TikTok doing, fashion and humor. I'm there, you can find me there. There's people who write blogs and do amazing YouTube tutorials that are extended where you can watch somebody do a whole bag change. So if this is on your docket and you're about to have an ostomy surgery and you want to see, I wanted to see what it looked like before I had it so I could prepare. Go. Those resources are there for you on truly every platform. But we hope that people go like to places like Connecting Pieces and just go get to um, kind of where do I find these trusted resources and then click through that, what speaks to them, what works for them, what platform is their
Yeah.
preferred platform. But I'm primarily Instagram, TikTok is where
Yeah.
I'm hanging out.
Perfect. And how would you like to see how society views and supports people living with an ostomy change?
I just I, again, I think we're trending in a great way on understanding people with disabilities on a greater level, having conversations about it, realizing that more and more people um, need these outlets, and that I never want to scare anyone that you could become disabled at any point in your life. That is truly not up to you. Things happen to people who are, you know, Olympic athletes. So it's not something you can always control. And so just having grace for people who have disabilities, bringing them into the conversations, into the spaces of decision making, especially in patient centric spaces, and giving them opportunities to connect with each other. I think that is such a powerful aspect. Seeing other people do this and becoming friends with them and becoming like true lifelong friends with them through a connection on Instagram back when I didn't even have my bag yet. Um, I've seen it real time in my life, and that's why I really want to be a part of it at this point.
Yeah. And is there, you know, a mantra, a quote, a mindset that has helped you embrace life with an ostomy?
Yeah, I have a lot of them. I think I say a lot of times I say I didn't die and now it's everybody's problem. But maybe more apt for having an ostomy is like shit happens, man. What am I gonna do? Sit around and cry about it forever? I gotta get up and live. I've got I've got the body I have. I've got an opportunity with my ostomy. So yeah.
Yeah. Has there been anything, like, funny or unexpected that's happened because of your ostomy?
Yeah, I mean, I think my sense of humor has expanded and I let go of a lot of taboos that might have been keeping me a little uptight in life. And so I think it's just broadened my horizons in every way, in humor, in friendship, in just empathy. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just, I hate to say that it's like the best worst thing that's ever happened to me is having cancer and getting my ostomy because it's really just, it's helped me settle into who I am big
yeah,
time.
definitely. And what does that confidence and self-love look like now? Whether that's day to day or, um, in ups and downs, fits and bursts, I know not every day is the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I think a couple of years ago, I went back to work after my surgery and being at home for a while. So that confidence was like, okay, I'm going to get up and go have a job. And that sounds kind of like normal and low key, but it was a big deal for me. And now that I've done that for 3 years now, I think the confidence is just knowing I can keep pursuing more. I have the opportunity to do more, to keep sharing my story, like, not getting the imposter syndrome of like, "Oh, I should just be thankful my stuff went well." No, we need the positive stories in our group. So that for me right now is the confidence I'm working on is that, I have confidence with my bag. I feel good in my body. Now I want to just share that confidently with the world so that if they're at the very beginning of their process, they know that that's possible.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would tell somebody who maybe just found out that they need an ostomy?
I'd say this is nuts, and that's fair to feel. I felt like I got smacked by a freight train, and I'll be completely honest and candid with you guys. I felt like the ostomy news hit me harder and was worse than hearing I had cancer. I don't know why that is. I'm just being completely forthright. I just want people to know that everyone who lives with an ostomy that you see confidently right now, whether that's online or you meet them in a group, whatever it is, they were gobsmacked by this too. It was not what they had planned for their life. And they had to go through a lot of lows to come to the point of acceptance. And if you need help, there are resources and outlets. Do not close yourself off. Do not take a year to open yourself up to a community of people that can help you with tips and tricks and humor right now.
Excellent. That's great advice. Are there any other, like, tips or tools that have made living with an ostomy easier or just, like, more manageable for you?
Yeah, I think, like I was saying at the very beginning, a big deal for me is being prepared. Whenever I find myself unprepared, something seems to happen. Because I do work, I keep supplies at work, in my car, on my person. Um, I'm not so worried about it now because I've gone long enough, but keeping an extra change of clothes on you is never a bad idea. Just leave it in your car. If you have to run out to your car and get an extra change of clothes, at least you have it, is that's life. But beyond that, just in the moments of something going wrong, talk to yourself that it will be okay and you will get through it. And by the end of it, you'll probably be laughing about it as you reflect back with your ostomy friends. But go to those spaces, get that understanding, and never feel ashamed. I have these emotions on the daily, if not on the hourly. So,
Totally. That's so fair. Um, I mean, I think we've gone over so much today and there's been so many helpful tips. I sure that people, will want to keep up with you, want to see more. If people are interested, where can they go and how should they follow you?
yeah, I would love if they do. I'm on Instagram at Barefoot Ostomate. So Barefoot Ostomate, spelled just like how it sounds. And then on TikTok, I'm Barefoot Professional. And then I'm not really on Facebook. I do have a Facebook, but I don't share a lot on there, so I wouldn't send somebody there. Um, but I do have a blog where I copy my social media posts and put it on my blog too. So I think that one is barefootostomate.com. YMyHealth.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Amy. Hearing your story and also just everything that you've been doing, I think very much inspirational, hopeful for people who are either in a similar place or who may, be somebody who's getting get an estimate, here in the
Yeah.
future. Um, so thank you again so much for sharing your story.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
If you like this episode or you want to listen to more, please follow Why My Health. We're on all the socials, and you can tune into podcasts on Spotify, Apple Music, and we also have videos on YouTube if you prefer to consume your content in that manner. And we will see you next episode.